let's get back to our 460 build. So here's where we are. This is timing cover off that 460 we did not rebuild. Figured I'd just use it to, I'm gonna leave my timing, I like the natural aluminum color, so I'm gonna leave it like that because that's what my intake is. So I think they'll kind of match. So I just threw this one on here to kind of mask. And I threw a Valley tray right there to cover that, to kind of paint. But anyway, I'm not the best painter. I cleaned it up and shot some paint on it, and threw the valve covers off that other 460 as well, and because we're going to clean ours up, paint them, so those are sitting over there with some overspray on them now because we're not running those. But I think I've got an issue here, and I'm going to need to do some research. So my understanding on these stock style rockers, they're non-adjustable. You just run them down till they stop. Now I did that with the intention of also going back and double checking. So we'll loosen them off and make sure that, you know, we're at 0 lash, and then once we tighten them down, you know, we're within spec and we're not too tight. So since we've changed the camshaft, but we've got stock link rocker arms. My only concern here, and we should have stock height valve stems. Now I think we've got an issue with our retainers. I think they're gonna hit, and it's not right there that it's gonna hit, it's that spot right there. Now I need to get a feeler gauge in there because we've got all this assembly lube in there. I don't think it's actually touching at the moment, and I think as it goes into lift, it's okay. And you can see, like the exhaust, we've got plenty of clearance. It's the intakes that are the problem. And like I said, as they go into lift, like that one, you know, it's got plenty of room, but that one is not looking good. And that one's at top dead center. We've got number 1 at top dead center. That's number 1. And so that one's not looking good. Now we could clearance them right in there if we needed to. You know, I got these heads with these retainers on them. Someone said they looked like CompCam's retainers. I'm assuming they are, and he actually told me which CompCam valve springs he thought they were. But when I looked them up, the part number he gave me have an inner spring, like an actual inner spring. These have this, it's like an inner spring, but it's not really a inner spring. But so I don't think I don't know what they are, I guess, is my point. The stock style retainers, they slope down a little bit. And so, you know, more clearance, more space between the tip of the valve and the top of the retainer, and that would be more clearance for the rocker arm. I'm not running a super high lift camshaft here. I can throw the specs in here somewhere. Yeah, man, I wish I would have realized that it's the things you run into. You know, we've got an unknown valve train trying to make it work with a stock valve. We've got unknown springs and retainers trying to make it work with a stock, you know, rocker arm assembly, all because I didn't want to mill the pedestals to run guide plates and roller rockers, trying to save some money. I forget what I paid for the stock setup, a whole lot cheaper for the complete, you know, stock rocker arms, push rods, all that from the guy. Bought it from a whole lot cheaper than trying to buy anything aftermarket. And to be honest, to get some decent quality rocker arms, I was probably going to be in like the $300 range. So I need to figure out what we need to do to run this setup. And if we can run, I don't even have Dove retainers, you know, Dove head retainers. So I don't know if the retainers on my other heads, which are not Dove heads, if they will even work in this setup. So that's the first thing I need to research. Okay, so I've been playing around with stuff. I've got, you know, stock set up here just to see what measurements were, and I just needed to, I forgot, I took the springs home to do some research, and I took a stock spring and our new one home, and I needed to check the spring pressure on one of our new springs, so I pulled another one, so I didn't have to keep this thing aired up and put another stock. spring in its place. But I wanted to get some measurements, you know, with these shims in place, because they've got 60 thousandths shims on here. It looks like, yeah, we're stockish. I think they were trying to compensate for, you know, grinding the valves, whatever. So they threw some 60 thousandths shims in there. After measuring, it doesn't look like the spring pads or the pedestals have been surfaced or ground any. So we're all stock there. This head is all stock. So the way we're gonna, so I don't know if I showed y'all, the stock spring setup, we've got tons of clearance, or the stock retainer setup, we got tons of clearance, but these retainers won't work with these springs because the springs are wider. We can't run these stock springs with our cam. So we need these springs, and I did check, they should be about right. Their setup should be about 109 seat pressure, which should be good. 104, somewhere in there. That was measuring them at 1.82. I think I got 109. It was either 109 or 104. But anyway, all that to say, I was trying to figure out what to do here, and I talked to the guy that I got this stock valve train set up from, you know, the rocker arms and pedestals and all that stuff. He does a lot of work with Dove heads. And when I mentioned that they've got 60 thousandths shims under there, he came up with the idea, well, let's take the shim out, and we will get the cheapest option here is take the shim out and order a set of 60 thousandths down keepers. I didn't even know you could do that. You know, I've always just dealt with stock setups. But so what we're doing is we're shifting that 60 thousandths down, which, you know, technically could make us run into the valve guide 60 thousandths sooner, but with our lift that shouldn't be a problem, and we will rotate and calculate and, you know, account for that. These, though, one other thing, these valve guides have been ground. They've got modern seats on them, or modern seals on them. So work has been done on the valve guides, but that's the only work that's done here. But that should help. They're not as tall as the stock valve guides, so that will help with our retainer to valve guide clearance, if that makes sense. Following? So what we're doing, we're going to take that shim out. Well, this one doesn't have a shim. We're going to take that shim out. We're going to run the keepers, or we're going to run the 60 down keepers, so that will give us an extra 60 thousandths between it's going to shift the retainer down 60 thousandths, which will give us 60 thousandths extra clearance between the rocker arm and the retainer. So that should get us what we need to run these stock rocker arms with this setup. And I hope that all makes sense. You know, we could get into trying to find different retainers or different springs and, different springs and run these retainers. That's actually what I was trying to do. I was trying to find some springs that were the smaller diameter, that would work with our cam, and I could use these retainers. And, you know, even if I found that setup, you know, it's probably not as good of a setup as these, because we probably wouldn't have the inner spring like these have, which is good. You know, we want the inner spring, better setup. And these are probably better retainers, and yeah, ultimately, you know, ultimately, I think that's going to be our best option here, and I think it'll work out really well, or at least I'm hoping it does. So, and it's cheap. It's about $18 for a whole set of valve locks. I mean, there's nothing else I could do to this thing, really, with replacing any parts that would be to make this work that would get any cheaper than that. Definitely the cheapest option. We are on a budget, and I think ultimately it's going to work out to be the best thing we can do. So I hope that all makes sense. I'm going to order those and put this on pause till they come in, probably a week out, and we will get back on this. So that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment down below, hit the like button, and subscribe for more.